beautiful day, another beautiful sunrise. Thank you, Lord, for this special time of year when we celebrate your death, Lord, and your resurrection. I'm just thankful that we be here and be in a public environment where we can still worship you, pray to you, Lord, and show you what you deserve, in all that we do, Lord, and all that we continue to ask that we strive to work together. Pray, Lord, that you give us wisdom, to make the best decisions for our community and our county. Be with our family, Lord, as we go through this, just our work every day, Lord. All these things we ask and pray for through your Son, Jesus.
Amen. Amen.
Join us for the pledge to the U.S. flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice for all.
And now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, one state, under God, indivisible, indivisible.
All right, you may be seated. This time I'd like to invite Trina Mitchell for a presentation.
Morning.
Morning.
I'd like some of my fourth years to join me. So we have just ended winter stock show season. Kids who
have competed in our livestock shows, as well as some of our other contests at the major stock shows, and I'd like to tell you about how successful they were so far this spring.
So this shows.
Will you introduce yourself?
My name is Deacon Gaines, and I attended all the Texas. I was with them at each of them. And then here coming the next month, and the next three livestock judging contests. That is Redlands, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. This past season, we competed at the district 4-H, and we qualified for state.
Deacon, how old are you?
I'm 14. I'm a
Excellent.
freshman in high school.
Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Kason Bergen. I'm a 8th grader at Verconet Middle School. I competed at Fort Worth Stock Show. I placed with major goats. I placed third. I won Division I lightweight goat, and then at Houston Livestock Show I competed with goats and got third in my class behind the grand champion and reserve champion lightweight.
Wow.
And then in a couple months I will be doing Quiz Bowl for 4-H.
Congratulations.
I'm Lauren Hofstetler, and I competed in the Fort Worth Stock Show Wildlife Contest, and it was my first contest. My team got 9th place. I also competed in the State Natural Resources Photo Contest and got a Best in Show for my water conservation photo.
Awesome. Lauren, how old are you?
9.
9.
And your team, what was your team? How many, all of your ages were right in that category too, right?
Yeah, we had 2 junior teams coached by Katrina Hofstetler, and they were all first and second year 4-H'ers, and they all, I think 9th and 11th were their placements at the Fort Worth Stock Show.
Big competition too.
Yeah, it's big competition. First year for teams, and especially for first and second year 4-H'ers to compete at that. So we're very excited for that. We appreciate coaches like Coach Hofstetler, and then our parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts and everybody who supports our kids and all of our projects and getting them ready for contest every week, it seems like. So we have something going on.
Well, I'm telling you that goat competition, the lamb and goat deal, I mean, they are out for blood, and you better come loaded when you go. So congratulations to both of y'all, because that is top
huge
in Texas, I guarantee you.
Judge, to put a little perspective on that, we all get excited when one of our area high school teams goes and competes for a state championship. That's the level this is on. I mean, we're at that level of competition when that happens. So when these young people go and compete and do well, that's a big deal. We're proud of you.
both, you know, Kason and Deacon got sale spots, very coveted sale spots at the stock shows, and so those are very fierce, very hard to get, and those are long hours in the barn, long hours, nights, weekends, every single day. So.
Yeah, and Katrina, I've got many friends that went to school on judging scholarships that, I mean, are fabulous to earn and get. So, I mean, you're really, Dave, thank both of y'all for the work and effort put in. So
This weekend, this Saturday, we have our district roundup in Vernon. So that's our public speaking talent show type contest. Then we go right into our shooting sports contest. So we have rifle and pistol the weekend after, and then we have archery, and then we have our trap shoot. So it's just never ending up, leading up until the very end of school. So, and we're doing hatching in the classroom at some of the elementary schools throughout this county. So it's been a busy spring so far.
I always laugh because Katrina's the one person around here I always ask what's going on. I've never ever heard her say, you know, not that much.
Not a lot. Just all this. It's okay. It's good. It's fun. Keeps us out of trouble. All of us out of trouble.
All of that while maintaining schoolwork and everything else.
well, that's right.
Yes.
It's good to have good kids.
Yeah.
So.
The kids have to follow the same UIL rules, so academically, behaviorally, they have to fall under all of those rules to be able to go and compete. So,
Yeah.
the best of the best.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah, thank you all for coming, and congratulations and good luck in the next steps.
Very proud.
Good job.
Thank you.
Represent Wichita County good.
Zoom isn't working, so you'll give it just.
Oh, yeah, okay.
He's checking.
We'll pause for a second. We're good now? Okay. See, look at that. Pause for just a second. Thank you all.
Thank y'all very much.
We know his grandma.
All right, at this time, do we have any other presentations? Okay. It is 10:07. We'll open up for public comment. As a reminder, we ask that anyone who makes comments limit them to 5 minutes or less, and no action will be taken on any of these items. Do we have any public comment?
I've got one, Judge.
Okay.
I just want to say thanks to Panda Biotech for their hospitality last Thursday. They took us on a tour of the hemp gin and what will be the hemp gin here in Wichita County. They're moving forward. Equipment's in place. They've got product on the yard. And even though we haven't quite got the growing end of that down yet, we'll get there. But they're up and running and looking forward to moving forward. So you're going to see activity when you're out that way on the I-44 corridor. And thanks for their hospitality, and we'll be staying in touch with them and watching it progress. We're excited about it.
Yeah, could be some, oh, go ahead.
Well, and Barry, on that note, and I didn't realize this till just recently, but you know, hemp is not something currently insurable in crop insurance, and that makes a huge difference to guys. But the
Yeah, the hope is it'll be included in the new bill, which should be written this fall.
coming down the path, so that's going to make a tremendous difference in people willing to step out and stick their neck out to develop, because it's new to us, but this should give people the comfort zone, and hopefully we want it to thrive and do well in our county.
We're very fortunate to have Congressman Jackson on the Ag Committee.
That's
in the
right.
House, and so we've got a venue to work on, so that's helpful.
Something I would like to add to this, attending that, it's something I didn't know, and this is something the public needs to know. Right now, to try to incentivize farmers to get this planted around this neck of the woods, they are giving out seed. So, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to plant 1,000 acres to plant it. I mean, if you'll plant 20 acres, 50 acres, they're willing to give you the seed up front right now. So I think there are probably some people out there, farmers, that, you know, they could spare 20, 50 acres to plant some just to get it started and see how it does, because they're needing local farmers to get in on it. 20 acres is not gonna kill you if it doesn't come across, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, farmers that are farming 1,000 to 10,000 acres could throw a little spot out there and get something going just to help out. But I just wanted to add that. I thought that was neat that they were giving away that seed.
I'll make one public comment. It's a public service announcement. I think I've heard appraisal notices will be going out at the end of this week, so this is just your friendly reminder that your appraisal is only half of the tax equation. The other half is the rate set by each of the individual entities, and that will be discussed at length and decided much later this year. But also, if you get your appraisal notice in the mail and you want to appeal it or you're not happy with it, it has the instructions on how to do that. And so just make sure you keep your notice and read that if you want to take action on it. So just wanted to remind folks of that.
Good info, good info.
All right, any other public comment? Zoom? Okay, it is 10:11 and public comment is closed. This time we'll move to consent agenda. I've got a couple of things. Number one, I'd like to move item number 16 down to general, just for some more discussion on that.
Okay.
And then number 19, I visited with Tommy Smythe this morning, and we're going to pull that down.
Not number 9.
Yeah, number 19. You don't have the...
Mine doesn't have it either, but I
Pull-
know what it is.
Pull it down to general?
No, pull it down off of the...
Oh, okay, pull it off.
The agenda this morning.
Oh, that was that other, that was Nancy's.
Yeah, he's wanting to get some more information and talk to the vendor, to the company here, to get a different quote on what items they're wanting to actually come to the court and ask for. And so I visited with him, and he wanted to just push that for a little bit.
Jim, does that have also any, I know not this particular application, but is there an application that fits our needs here as well with this?
For the Nemo Q deal?
Or is it connected to a phone service at all, or is it strictly kiosk work?
I think it's strictly kiosk work. Brendan, does that sound right to you? It's not related to phone stuff or anything. It's just for the kiosks and, do you know? Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, 19 pulling off of the agenda completely today
Okay.
to revisit later. Okay.
Was that your only two, Joe?
Those are my only two
Okay.
for that. Yeah.
I'd like to take off at this time. I'm missing Morgan, and I need for item 5. She rewrote that, and we did a very simplistic application, but I want to hear from Carrie back on that, but I do need Morgan as well, but I'd like to knock off 5.
Okay.
And 2, I just had questions on 12. Mark, is that out of the, what's the project fund we get from TXDOT?
The lateral fund?
I don't believe it's
Lateral
part of the lateral fund. I
Did-
didn't visit with them last week with everything else going on, but this is to replace the bridge on Old State Road. We've been in discussion about capturing some of the work that we had already done
Right.
and using that as payment in lieu of.
And that's what I was wondering about. Did they give you
Then I
that
have a
number,
So
what we had captured previously?
No.
Okay.
just so that y'all know, before you ask that, Mickey, the federal rules that required the counties to provide either cash or equivalent projects for a match, those are gone.
They are gone, okay.
And so this project can be completed using only state and
State
federal
funds.
funds, and that's the plan, and that's what this agreement would be doing.
Does it work on what we built up, still like we're talking about, Mark, on those projects, or is this completely something
Well,
separate?
apparently, if they've done away with the match requirement, then we don't have to use
What do
every
we-
culvert that we put in
Yeah,
on the
what do we
system.
use
And
that for now?
we don't.
We don't.
Well, I guess we have to
Yeah.
track
Well,
that.
Yeah, that's
I was
okay.
just working with them a few months ago, getting all my bridge information that we had done to Mike out of DOT, and they were putting it toward, because I have a bridge that I'm wanting to replace, and you're saying that went away? I mean,
Well,
that
that's the
was
way
just-
I took it.
That is from Ben Coker over at TxDOT, he's got the note in the email. New federal rules eliminated the requirement for counties to provide 10% funding or equivalent match projects toward the bridge replacement. It will
Because
be
I had
completed.
about 800,000 set up to match, well,
Um,
already done, so
I'd suggest,
I'll reach back
yeah,
out.
reaching out to them after court today and making sure that all that's still.
And I
And-
do have a question on 17 for Mark.
Are we done with 12?
No, we're done with 12, but 15, I didn't understand what we were doing there.
This is the phone lines.
So I kind of understand.
Do you want to take this one, Margaret?
Pat, you want to take this one?
I'm here to
What, we had contacted Webfire to install phone lines for the tax office to accommodate their temporary location in the annex. Those phone lines were ran, and over one weekend, the very same phone lines that we just completed running were cut out by a contractor. So they had to be reran. So there's a double bill. We'll pay the original bill for our first installation, and then we'll seek reimbursement for the second half of that bill.
But doesn't this, Brendan, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't our new, if we was to take action on a by bid quote from this presentation we recently had, wouldn't that eliminate the need for those phone lines completely if we're going?
But the work has already been done.
This is where they're at temporarily.
Oh,
Yeah, this is,
Just to get them up and running, but in the future, that would eliminate that type of work.
okay.
Yes.
So this work has been done?
yes,
twice.
and done again.
Yes.
Wow.
Contractors.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, and this is just a question for Mark, really, from, on the 17.
Yep.
What are they doing?
Right now, all this is going to allow them to do is bring in some material and spread the material. We're working on details of milling that whole segment of Clyde Morgan, and
Were they working out there, Mark?
this is all the dirt hauling for the various projects, including the new school.
If,
Most of it's the new school.
then I'm gonna ask you, if you end up having any kind of meetings with them,
Yeah.
as far as repairing that, would you include me? Because I spent about 65,000 on River Road, so I would like to
Okay.
follow up, because mine's not done yet either, and they're still hauling out of River Road, so
Yeah.
I'd just like to be involved.
Well, they've
in-
slowed down the hauling out there, so that's why I'm wanting them to start making some repairs, not putting it back yet until they're done hauling, but.
So they cut through Clyde Morgan coming back to 280? or
Yeah, they've got a
277?
pit on part of Clyde Morgan. They're, about half of Clyde Morgan is as bad as River Road.
Oh, wow.
I would say River Road held up probably a lot better than Clyde Morgan did, but
Yeah, for the most part, it's held up well. There's some sections that are really bad.
I just like to be involved if we're
Okay.
discussing that. I think it's great that they're willing to be involved to help, but
Yeah, this is just simply to allow them to go spread some material at their cost.
And I've got a couple of questions. On item number 8, this is for the payment for $130,955 to M&F Litigan for courthouse renovations. In the backup documents for that, there was a change order number 1 mentioned, and I couldn't remember what that was.
Oh, Lance, change order number 1.
It was for $11,148.
Off the top of my head, I can't say that I remember either. Because there was a change order that was separate from all the contingency usages, and then there was a contingency usage change order that brought everything up to, and With the 11,000, it was early on. It was like within the first month or so of the job. I cannot, let me do a little bit of digging right quick.
It was the big change order, the $438,000 one. But then I was just wondering what the work was done on this invoice that was associated with that.
With the big one or with the little one?
Do what?
With the big one or with the little one?
With just the 11,000.
Okay, hang on, let me see if I can find that.
And if you need to get back to me on
I
that,
will,
that's
I
fine
will
too.
probably need to get back with you because I don't carry all of the paperwork with me at all times and I can't. Let me text my office.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'll get right back with you.
And then separately I just had a general question. At the annex, there was, I think, $7,000 or $8,000 budgeted for food service equipment. It wasn't spent, it was just budgeted for it. What is that?
Ice machine for the break room and that's it. I think it's just an ice machine.
Okay.
Is the break room, is there a first floor one now too?
Yeah, well, there will be. I think there always has been, but yeah, in the annex.
Whereabouts is it?
It's in the tax office, so only the tax
Oh,
people
okay.
only the tax office uses it.
Do y'all go down to the kitchen, Cheryl, on 2
No?
ever?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have something in your new room?
I have a
Okay.
refrigerator in there and a
Okay.
microwave, yeah. In my conference room.
And
I think
then-
only the tax office uses that.
Yeah, it can be available for more.
So
when it's done.
$9,000 ice machine for 15 people, 20 people. Kind of seems.
It's being a nice ice machine.
Yeah.
I think
But it makes that sonic ice.
Yeah. Yes, yours was 4,500 and we fill with road crew, you're constantly.
Can't be that
needing
much.
ice.
You
Not
can try and
really
get a
sure
refrigerator
about-
with a good
Well, is this
ice
just
maker for a
a
couple quid.
overview of budgeted information? They've not selected.
No, it's-
No, it
It's
hasn't
in the
been
budget.
selected. It's just a budget number.
It just caught my eye when I was looking through the stuff, so wanted to ask about it. And Chief, the new car lift, where is that going out there?
number 2.
Okay. Okay, that's all
And
of my questions.
those bids were much cheaper. Much. Thank you.
So, I'll make a motion to approve with the changes that we've made.
I don't remember what all we changed, but
I
us,
will recap them all.
You want to cite all those?
Okay.
I'll second, and if you,
Yeah, I will, all right, so the motion has been made to approve the consent agenda with the following changes. Item number 5, the application form for subdivision development pulled off of the agenda. Item number, and I missed one. See, this is why we do this. I am actually going to pull off item number 6 as well.
good, because I was going to ask you about that.
Because I was, it's Easter weekend, so of course I'm looking through tax code because that's what people do on Easter weekend. And I had noticed that we actually, to do this, need to post it as a public hearing item. And so I am pulling off item number 6 as well off of the agenda.
And Judge, is that an annual public meeting?
It has to be renewed, it's every 2 years.
It's every 2
Yeah.
years, okay.
All right, so the motion as amended, pulling off item number 5, item number 6, item number 16, which is moved to general business, and item number 19 pulled off completely. Nancy, did you get all that? Okay. Do we have any public comment on the consent agenda? All right, the motion's been made by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Man, I'm making you do my work today.
That's a little bit there.
All right, so moving on to general business, I'll go ahead and bring up the consent agenda item that I'm moved down here. Motion to accept change order proposal to expand construction to convert district clerk's area to a temporary 30th district courtroom with a project budget number of unknown to be paid from Department 409 with reimbursement from insurance. Commissioner Beecham.
Yeah, it was put on the agenda with an unknown because we were working as quickly as we could to make that happen. We did have a series of meetings last week with Judge McKnight, concluding with a meeting on Thursday morning with a drawing that I think you've all been supplied with as a result.
The old one.
Oh, okay.
Is there a new one over there? I'll pass it out.
So, if y'all recall, we did approve a project earlier this year to build a temporary courtroom in the district clerk suite to house the CPS court. But due to the flood.
And one of these.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I think it didn't get blown up.
It's
incorrectly.
not printed correctly.
Okay.
You want a copy of it real quick? Sure. Yeah, I printed the one that came over in the email. I guess instead of the.
Yeah, mine leaves the judge out.
We got the conference table and
Yeah. Yeah,
All right, we'll just pause for a
we
second.
have no
Okay.
place for a judge in Maine, yeah. Question, Mark, what's the longevity of this? Is this room strictly temporary? We're gonna use it on down the way after?
yes.
That's my main question.
Yeah, it's not strictly temporary now.
Okay, so this was
This
something we
is-
were moving forward on.
We were
anyway.
doing it as a
Yeah.
temporary, but now that we've got a really good design that fits in there, it will become more of a long-term permanent. Everything that we're gonna do permanently won't be done in this, because we've got to get it up and running quickly.
So the 30th will eventually go back to the
The
original
30th will go back to
location.
its
Okay.
original location.
I thought that was the plan, but
Are we still waiting on the papers, or?
Well, I
yeah,
guess
she went to.
if you want to talk about the stuff that we don't need to see the picture for,
Okay.
we can do that.
Yep, so we need a place to put the 30th District Court in the interim while we're building the original court suite back. That's probably at least a year's project.
Listen, got a
Uh,
judge.
This seems like the very best way to get him in a location quickly and still be cost effective in that we're not putting him off campus, having to bring in extra security, extra internet problems, travel back and forth to the off-site location, to the courthouse. The logistics of that make it very difficult, not impossible, but difficult. The added cost would probably exceed what the cost of this build-out is. So we feel it's in best interest to keep 30th District Court here in the building. We believe we can have this up and operational by the end of May. The estimate includes pretty much everything that we would need to stand that up: furnishings, IT, the technology that would go into a new courtroom. And now, since that we have a different design, it kind of changes the path forward in the courthouse. It was all along thought that we would expand the 78th and 89th into that area. In building this courtroom this way, the discussion was Thursday to not in the future expand the 89th, to leave it in the footprint it is, and have it serve as an auxiliary court. This would become one of the CCLs eventually, and the 78th would expand into the law library area to become a CCL. It's a long-term plan.
Right. Yeah, that's not
So,
envisioned.
so this design would function in the long-term plan of things to stay exactly as it's drawn here.
So the footprint wouldn't change?
The footprint wouldn't change. If
And
it
is-
did, it wouldn't be very insignificant footprint
Is the
change.
footprint of the district clerk now the exact footprint of the?
Yes.
Mark, will any of the furnishings come back that we're holding up there? Or they will all stay up there?
To be determined.
Okay. Because we're gonna why not be able to put it all in the long-term storage?
Okay,
We'll try our best.
okay.
And this is the price?
That is the estimate, price estimate. And some of that is.
I like the fact that you've been able to include the jury conference room, the court reporter office, and also the office suite for the judge. That really looks like a pretty functional deal. You've got separate access. It addresses a lot of the things that we talked about in upgrading those courtrooms.
Just over 100 seating capacity? Where did we land, Glenda, on the seating capacity? Just over 100?
It's right at 100. There's 96 seats shown, and then by the time you can add, if you absolutely had to, you could add a couple of one row in front of the bar, and then there's 3 or 4 rows that you could add an extra seat in front of the column that's there, but 96 is what's shown.
What's ahead in the 30th district right now?
None. I'm sorry, I just had.
So 130.
That's
What did
true.
we have 3 or 4 weeks ago?
130.
I think it had 120 to 130, somewhere right in
So
there.
you could be comparable with the time if you put that, like for maybe the swearing in ceremony, whatever. If you added those seats in front of the row, you're gonna be in the ballpark.
Right.
Where we are. And probably for a ceremony like that, you could bring one down that wall too, I would imagine. You might put 20 more seats in that thing.
It'd be really tight, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you flown on an airplane lately?
I have.
Well,
That's tight now.
now, if I come down the corridor there from the old 30th and get to the intersection, can I get out either direction?
Okay, so are you talking about from the hallway or?
From the hallway, isn't the, is
Okay,
the
now
stair,
on
if I
third-
turn right, isn't there stairs?
Straight ahead,
Yeah,
stairs.
This is the low ceiling stairs right there, isn't it? The one that.
No,
Right,
that's the
that-
next floor up.
Oh,
that
okay,
main
you're right, you're right. I'm
staircase.
thinking second floor, okay.
That's that main staircase that goes up and down there, if you come right out that door. The way that third works now, especially when we get the elevator, that the rear entrance doors will be working too. People can get there from that where it says corridor 307, they'll be able to come from the elevator around that set of stairs, or the back side where on the side of the men's bathroom, there's a set of doors there that stay open. So you'll be able to get to that from either direction on the third floor. The city did say that we had to put a second egress in that area, which is why there is a door right there beside the jury conference room that goes out to corridor 306, because the capacity of that room requires 2 egresses. And currently, there is only 1 egress, which is the double set of doors that go right to that staircase currently in the district clerk's office.
Okay.
And so we're having to add another way out. You'll have to go over the bar and then, that direction, but it's still open.
And what do the black squares represent?
Columns. Columns that we can't change.
So, yeah, getting it to sandwich in those, within those columns and still make it a functional size courtroom was the challenge. And
That black square is your seat, Commissioner. That deserved that.
Well, what is the area marked library and then the other area marked library? Does that just flow over?
that's all the
No,
law
that's
library
currently-
existing.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a wall there, it's not a very thick wall, it's one of those existing plaster 2-inch thick walls, but there's a existing wall there right now.
Okay.
That we're not going into the law library area.
So that's why in doing this, there's no expandability of the 89th any longer. But there's still expandability in the 78 by taking in the law library.
And this plan as it's laid out would essentially remain in place for the CCL to move into as soon as the new 30th is done and the 30th
Right.
moves up there.
Correct.
Right, we'd probably end up replacing light fixtures and things like that
Some
that we're
small
not
changes
doing
then.
right now.
Okay.
So this is as fast as we can get in kind of stuff, so
Is there a drop ceiling?
it is a drop ceiling.
There's,
We're
I think, 6 or 7 light fixtures that will have to be moved. There's 3 or 4 air registers that will have to be moved, but we're not talking about replacing them, we're talking about just moving them. And the ceilings will stay and the walls will just go up to the ceiling. We're not gonna go through the ceiling all the way up. So there's areas for improvement that we will need to do if we, if we wanna come back later and make it more, changing out the light fixtures to a nicer light fixture, changing out the ceiling to, where the walls don't stop at the ceiling. But the intent of this is to get them in there in less than 4 weeks. And so it's gonna be fast and furious and.
But we won't have to come back and renovate
Not
this
full.
again.
You won't
We're
have to
putting
do
up the
a
wall
full-
covering that needs to be put up, and the furniture is new that's coming in there.
The furniture that I have allotted for in the cost estimate, I contacted Donna and told them to give me a mid-grade, not to give me the bottom dollar, but don't give me high dollar. And so I said, just give me a mid-grade furniture that will work for numerous years, but that if it's ever, done right, you might want to upgrade the furniture and stuff like that. But we're not talking about putting any wood on the walls, we're not talking about putting anything elaborate, any.
Well, you got one wall that's all windows. We're doing
Yeah.
curtains. We're doing
I put
curtains for noise
curtains on that
reduction.
window. I didn't even change out those windows or anything. At some point, you will want to change out those windows because they're the old, air leak window.
The estimated number bothered me for a temporary, but when you consider this to be a long-range deal, that changes it
Yeah.
completely and makes a lot more sense.
There's another side to that too, that we visited with our insurance carrier, and this should be a covered or at least partially covered expense, because we do have expense to put that court somewhere.
And you're gonna spend a good bit of money to
Yeah.
do
Irregardless, we're going to have to move the 30th
It's
district
kind of like a
somewhere.
rental car, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is really the best plan moving forward. It solves the logistics problem. It keeps them in the building. It's about as fast as putting something anywhere else. The next best we could probably do with this kind of space would be rent from Impact, and we know what Impact rental is.
Well,
So,
then you've got.
and then we still have some
additional
Security
issues, transportation issues. It just makes so much sense. If you can put it here, we need it here.
So,
It answers a lot of the questions.
I have a question for Linda. You said a while ago that on the temporary, you're only going up the walls, not all the way to the top.
Just to the
But
ceiling.
you said that you want to
If
change
you-
it over to permanent, you would go all the way. So are you saying that we're gonna have to take them walls out and redo them later?
No, you wouldn't have to redo them later, but you would want to extend them up for things like sound. But when you go above the ceiling, then you're taking out that grid, and when you start taking the ceiling grid out, that is even more expensive. So if you wanted it to go an extra and above and beyond, go ahead and take those ceilings up, that's another renovation.
So I wanna know, that's what I'm curious about, how are you gonna change if you only have the wall going up to the ceiling, then later on you're gonna come in and you're gonna run it from that existing wall on the way up, all the way up, you're just gonna stub on top of that wall?
Right.
That's where I'm kind of losing it. Why would you have to change the drop ceiling in the future?
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
You don't have to, if you wanted to.
Well, I think there's two
And the thing is-
considerations. One's time and one is budget.
Yeah.
Right.
I think,
So which is this?
Yeah.
This is only to the
This is just to the existing ceiling.
I think in the jury area, we probably want to go ahead and take it to deck.
Okay.
So,
That's gonna change this number.
That's
Right.
what changed the product. Yeah, I mean,
And this is an estimate, guys. This is not
Yeah.
the contractors have not, in fact, Pat's seeing this for the first time today. This is not a bid. This is an estimate. And I always try to estimate high because I don't ever like coming before y'all and saying,
Oops.
I need some more money. And so I always try to estimate on the high side. But M&F Litigant has not seen this at all to verify my costs or anything else. And so this is,
Well, I have the same question.
If we
Mr.
only go to the
Pentagon is
ceiling,
asking.
are
I
they
think
gonna
if-
give us the
if
soundproofing
this
we're
gonna
gonna
be a
need for that
permanent deal,
courtroom?
we do a little more.
That's my
right?
concern is
at
the
least the bones,
soundproofing.
the bones.
that's why I just said what I said about the
But
jury
is it,
area.
hold on,
We
we
need
got
to
two
make-
separate
we
conversations.
got three going on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
But it comes back to, is this considering time or is it considering budget? Probably both, but we need to get this thing up and rolling, and we don't wanna throw a bunch of stuff on it that's gonna extend it another 30 or 45 days is the deal. Or at least that's my situation. And, you know, but if you could add, a lot of times for a few dollars more, you go ahead and fix it, is my point. Now, I think, Mickey, that's the point you're making, and get it like you're gonna want it, but if that slows the project down considerably, then.
I've got, no,
Yeah.
two answers. I can answer two different answers.
Yes and no. No.
Exactly. We can handle the noise with a white noise. I can get Brendan in and helping me with some sound modifications. You can handle noise with white noise. That's more expensive. We can also go ahead and put the walls up, add the extra insulation in the wall so that it goes all the way to the deck, which helps handle that noise. But that does slow it down quite significantly because you're going to be you've got to take the ceilings down to get the walls up. You've got to change the grid because the grid right now is perfectly fine, but you'll have to cut the grid. So the grid will have to come down, and they won't do it. They won't cut just a 6-inch piece out to get that wall in there. They'll have to take massive amounts of the grid down. So there is pros and cons on what you want to do.
It
open.
would lengthen it out a little bit.
It will
what I'm hearing
lengthen
you
it
say,
out.
Yeah.
It will lengthen it out because right now we have got no ceiling work really other than just one or two movements of light fixtures over and replacing some stained ceiling grid in there.
And at the end of the day, we don't want it to look like they cut out 6 inches for a long-term deal.
Is the white noise gonna be enough for the judge though, for the noise issues?
I don't know.
I mean,
Where's
that's
the
my
noise?
concern, cause we don't wanna have any risk with noise issues if you got a major trial going on in there.
But are you talking
Well,
about
we've
like
got-
noise in the hallway or what?
Well, we don't
No,
know.
where you can hear what they're saying if you,
The only place that it would be a concern would be in a jury box, or jury
right.
deliberation area. Because the rest of it, we've already got a concrete wall.
Yeah,
plaster wall between it
the
and the
wall
hallway.
into the hallway and the wall on each side going from the 78th and the, whatever the other number is, I forget, the law library, are they're plaster walls anyway.
If their jury room is inadequate, under this deal, couldn't we go to the grand jury room to deliberate if you needed to? Just,
No, it's.
There's no sense to build a courtroom though that you'd have to move, that'd
No.
be.
well, I mean, but CCL, they don't have a jury deliberation room, right?
Sure.
They can.
Yeah, they do.
They do have it?
Yeah.
There's a jury room too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an easy remedy, is we take it up to deck in the jury assembly area. That's cutting out some of it. It's a compromise, so it will lengthen the project slightly, but we're not taking the entire ceiling grid out. We do have some modifications in that area anyway because of the temporary wall that's been built for evidence.
Did the sound issues come up in those discussions with Judge McKnight last week?
Yes, we did talk about sound issues and the potential use of white noise.
And what about, Glenda, that back wall of the district clerk's office, that's a window, right?
Just like these right
Why,
here.
no, not I'm talking about the wall that is against the 89.
No,
Wasn't there
there's
a
one,
big
there's
window?
There is a
one-
window up at the
There's
top.
one small little window there
And
now.
we'd cover that up.
And,
Oh, it's not a long running window.
Okay.
It's
It's a camera port or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
Yeah.
Well,
It's probably been covered at one point in time.
I would bet as we get into this, we're gonna have some changes come when you get the contractor looking at it and you dig into it. So no matter what we do here this morning, I'm betting we're gonna see change orders and
Again, this is an estimate. This is not,
Yeah.
this is not the price.
this is just to get the wheels turning.
I think it's still worth looking at from the contractor point of view. I think if we're putting that out there, then they ought to at least look at what it would be difference in price to run those walls all the way up.
Okay.
And instead of,
Well,
I just don't like double work is the only thing I'm getting at, because if you know we're gonna have to do it,
Commissioner, it's a lot like looking at the skid steer we got coming from the factory. Go ahead and add the safety glass and the cooler, because we know we've got an implement coming to run on it. We're gonna have to run it back through and change it to do the long-term longevity. It's a similar deal, you know what it is.
Yeah.
But that's something we'll probably know more about as they dig into it, I would assume. Like, is it, I mean, if it's a week, that's probably tolerable, but if it's 2 months, that's a whole different ballgame.
And I can't guesstimate that.
Nobody can.
Yeah, we're all going as fast as we can to make this happen, so.
We're doing a change order.
There-
What project are we changing?
Elevator.
The overall courthouse project is, we're adding this to that. And there
We
are
had a-
reasons, that's what the city had requested that we do, is to put it as a change order on that project, so
Okay.
it's under the existing permits. We'll pay for it separately. We'll have a different ledger within the courthouse project to account for this.
First of all, kudos to y'all for working so quickly, and these are a lot of kind of in the weeds questions coming at you
That's
for,
okay.
for putting together something very fast. So
Yeah.
first of all, bravo. Brett, with TAC and the claims.
Yep, Brett Anderson.
And I didn't want to put Mel on the spot because he may not know the answer to this. Adding it as a change order, is that going to do anything to us from the standpoint of somebody coming back and saying that they're not going to reimburse us or insurance isn't going to pay for this because...
I've already brought it up to both Brett and to McLaren's that we had planned a temporary courtroom in that area, that we'd already set aside a budget for that. We will subtract that amount from any insurance claim we might make.
Okay.
Because we already had an existing plan in place, already had a change order. This is expanding that change order to accommodate the now new need for 30th District
Okay.
Court.
And neither of them had any pushback to that.
I didn't hear of any, so.
I mean, the person doesn't need that in writing.
it almost seems like though that we would be losing some of their liability by doing that. We'd be giving up some of the other
You
company's
do.
liability on it.
You do.
That to me.
What do you mean?
One of the other, I'm switching subjects and I'm rolling back the tape, that what we've sort of included and what we've anticipated in here is what we were discussing in the office the other day is like, right now, and help me Pat, doors and frames are long lead items. And what we said we might end up needing to do is to go in and put like a residential door in or frame in the areas that we've got here. And long-term, those might want to be something that you go in and switch out with a solid core commercial door. The frames might be a little bit more available, but doors are how long of a lead out?
8 to 12 weeks.
And so we would not have, this would be like going to Lowe's and buying a
A
residential.
solid core residential.
Solid
door.
core, yeah, like an exterior door, but still a residential door as opposed to the commercial doors like what we do.
Right now, according to the plan before this was changed, I've got all the doors, all the hardware, everything for that. So there'll be an additional stuff that goes with this. I've got some doors left over from downstairs. If I can make those work, I will.
And my answer to your question was, if you say that this right here was our potential plan at some point, you lessen that company's liability to pay us for this project. Because, and really, this was supposed to be just a meeting room, a gathering room to do board hour or whatever.
No.
Okay.
No, we've already
We were
approved.
supposed to expand these two courtrooms up.
No. Well, no, we already have, we have an approved item that we've approved on court to build a temporary courtroom in that space at 26,000, I don't recall.
It was gonna be the child protection court, right?
Yeah, and
Not
that's
this large.
not this large. Now, we've had to expand that to encompass the entirety of that whole area. And in talking with Brett and with our representative from McLaren's, they're in agreement that this is probably the best way to move forward. That we will take and subtract what we've already approved as a commissioner's court, the project that was already on the boards. We'll subtract that amount out of any claim because that was work that was going to be done here regardless. Now we've changed the scope of that and expanded the scope greatly. So we'll claim on the expanded scope only. We've already got a 24, 26,000, whatever figure,
Yeah.
change order to the project already.
Judge, do we have a number of what we thought the relocation cost would be for the next however many months for that court?
No, but I can.
It's pretty easy to call in back and,
Yeah, to me, that's an important number because, you know, that's the consideration that insurance is gonna give us to, you know, to handle this.
and we can put that number together in relatively short order.
To me, I mean, because that's what it's gonna cost us to relocate that court and operate it until we get the 30th back,
Yeah, no.
which will be how long? Linda, you should have brought your crystal ball.
Well, these are all questions that we've haggled over a lot.
But should
Really, the only space that's,
And I want everybody to understand, one of the reasons that we're going over all this stuff, this is a very complicated deal, and we want to get it right.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and it's not like there's courtrooms sitting out there in the
No.
mall or somewhere else for you to
You can't go
rent to
rent
go.
one somewhere else.
Yeah,
We've got one, I think, over his.
the only space that's adequate
Plenty of real
within
estate, but
a
there's no-
logistical
Yeah.
use would be Impact.
But to me, that's the number
And
we're
that would be a
questioning right there.
long-term rental
That's
at
the
Impact.
expense to the insurance company,
You
is
also
what
have,
that's gonna
you
cost.
also gotta add all your security to that.
The security, the internet,
The whole package.
we're still gonna be doing, we still have to build a judge's bench, we'd still have to build a jury box that would be portable. There's still expense, no matter where we put a temporary courtroom, we're still going to have a considerable 100,000 plus expense to stand it up.
Yeah.
We'd have to rent furniture.
I do like the estimate. I think that's
do.
actually lower than what I thought it'd be.
It's
But
There's
besides
the
furniture.
again, it's not my number, I called and got the number, but, the caveat is that is asbestos tile on the floor, and that would be
We're-
something down the road too, that if you ever wanted to get
We
rid
were
of that
not
asbestos
planning on
tile.
abating it. We were
But we
putting
were just
carpet
gonna
over the
cover it
top,
up.
like has been done everywhere else in the courthouse.
I put that.
Yeah.
We
number
can
on
for
there
another 2
so-
weeks.
Yeah.
Well, we had
Time.
notification, we couldn't start.
Adding time to
Yeah.
it.
I know, but I mean, it's okay to leave it and
Yeah.
cover
It
it
is
up.
perfectly okay to leave
Disturb
it.
it.
Me, this comes to me like I wrecked my car. Insurance company's gonna pay me to fix the fender, they're not gonna put a new engine in it. We're gonna, if I want an engine, I'm gonna get a big one, but anyway, I'll put that in there, but that's what I'm getting at, is,
Yes.
that's their part of the deal.
But I mean, it's not, Mel, your opinion, we don't need anything other than just the thought of the insurance company saying, oh, it'd probably be okay. I mean, we don't need nothing in writing. I mean,
I don't think so, because they're our first party insurer, but, you know, we need to check with them. We just need to do what they, you know,
If
what
Tax
they're
ain't
okay
gonna
with.
with it, I think we're good.
Well,
Right now, the plan-
They didn't say go ahead with it, but they understand the concept and thought it was a great plan to move forward with it, so.
I think as long as we
think
do
best-
the accounting on my side.
I think we
we'll
should
be-
at least make sure they're okay with it, and that's gonna entail either an email, it's gonna entail, it doesn't have to be a formal
Yeah, no.
agreement with them, but we need something from them saying, hey, they're okay with this concept.
I'll be happy to do
Yeah,
that.
and what we may do is send them what impact cost would be, and if we can get something quickly and what security would be, we can show them an easy comparison that
Absolutely.
over a year period of time, this makes much more fiscal sense.
You don't wanna get.
Because
to
we're
the
still-
end.
It
we
gives
still-
us 16 months, really.
Yeah, we
I mean,
still-
Say I wouldn't stop at a year,
It's gonna be, closer to
Because by the
probably
time-
18 months.
by the
to
time we get
rebuild.
30th put back together.
Yeah, we're still gonna
That's
have,
what we would be out of time.
we're still gonna have the same IT cost, or if not more, because we're gonna have to put our own secure internet wherever we go. That cost is gonna be the same. We're gonna have to build a judge's bench, because there's no such place as judge's benches or us. You can't just go buy one or rent one. We're gonna have to build one. We're gonna have furnishing costs, unless we use the folding chairs at Impact. And then we're gonna have to rent those from them anyway. They're not gonna give them to us for
Plus what I'm
free.
saying, yeah.
So
They'll-
add up the cost, and this is a much,
Yeah.
But we don't wanna get to the end of
it'll
this.
belong to us at the end of the day.
Yeah, we don't wanna get to the end of this deal and everybody, oh, that's not the way I understood it. I think that's what we're
And-
trying to avoid.
No, I totally understand
Yeah.
and totally agree, and that's why I've already asked the questions. No, I don't have it in writing, and I've asked 10 million questions in the last 2 weeks.
It wasn't just TAC, right? You were talking to the building.
McLaren's.
Okay.
Yeah. McLaren's and TAC.
Okay.
McLaren's is not.
McLaren's is their high claims representative, yeah.
Okay.
They're part of tax response.
In that case, I would like to make a motion to move forward with the process.
And answer some questions.
With
And I
some-
totally agree with
yeah,
that.
with some-
I totally agree with that. But every minute we wait on not moving on this is another week that we can't.
Judge,
My
I'll
process
I'll
is-
second that motion.
Commissioner Beecham already.
Oh, you already did?
Already did.
All right, good.
Cheryl, do you need a project budget number in the motion?
Preferably, yes, at least a max amount.
Then let's go with
Up
the,
to.
we'll do 300,000.
That'll give us cushions if we have changes.
Okay. And, you know, again, understand, we're moving as fast as we can to make this stuff happen, keep everybody back in place quickly.
All right, Commissioner Buchanan, let's see if I have this motion right. It's to accept change order proposal to expand construction to convert the district clerk's area to a temporary 30th district courtroom with a project budget up to $300,000 to be paid from Department 409 with reimbursement from insurance. Okay. Any other questions?
You want to directly tie it back to the flood? Does it need to be tied to that insurance deal? I guess that's.
Well, it might not hurt to put that in the meeting minutes that
Because that way it shows
as
from the.
temporary courtroom to be built to rehouse the 30th District Court as a result of flood damage.
I think it'd be good.
That
No
cer-
flood.
A year
certainly
from
doesn't
now-
hurt to.
Yeah, a year from now, we don't want misunderstandings, so the more clear you make it, the better off you are.
That needs to be in
And
motion.
how will that money flow? Does anybody know? I mean,
Slowly, because they're gonna fight it forever.
No, I mean, well, but our insurance at some point will kick in, but I mean, is that a year from now? or-
Whenever they,
indicated
I mean, are insured, when they feel that it's not being paid right, they can step in at any time.
But after 3 years or?
No.
No, it won't, no, it would be, I think it's, when we start having invoices and the auditor and the court start pressuring them to wanna get repayment, somebody's gonna step in and say, well, we've gotta start paying. Cause our insurance at that point should step in and start paying, even if they have to go back after the other insured at that time. I'm sorry to say, but I have a lot of history with insurance.
Well, I mean, I still don't know what timeline.
I mean, I'm gonna say when you're rebuilding, when you're getting some massive bills back, I think TAC at that point would start paying. Would you agree with that,
Once we hit
man?
our deductible and we
Yeah.
start going over that,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be,
That's easy, that's
We
probably.
hit our deductible.
Oh, we,
too.
yeah, we probably hit the deductible the first couple of days,
so.
75,000, so.
Yeah.
Because we'll start seeing those costs show up, or those checks show up with our
Yeah, I
stuff
would
this week.
assume.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of the bills yet, so.
And that's really a question that we have to do as a court, because we could reach out to TAC and say, hey, once we meet our deductible, we want y'all to start reimbursing us. They could actually start doing it at that point. There's no reason for them not to.
Well, I mean, I asked that question for 2 reasons. To my knowledge, Cheryl, unless you've seen them, we've not been paid for truck wrecks, which are completely done, invoices given, everything. Unless you've seen those checks, I sure haven't. And I just wondered, I mean, what is the policy on that? Normally, I'm just used to my own auto that would do something.
Usually it works that way. They've been better about sending those checks. I haven't seen some of the last recent ones come in, but, hopefully this one works a lot faster than that one.
Just have a huge impact on our cash flow. It is.
Yes, it is going
It's
to
already
tie
going
up
to.
409 quite a bit.
And we'll get to talk about that in an upcoming agenda item.
Mhm.
All right, so let me make sure, the water event was on March 28th.
I don't remember.
Yes.
Looking at a calendar.
What, it didn't happen last week, right?
No,
Yeah,
it was the week
Tuesday the
before.
28th.
Tuesday the 28th, okay. So Nancy, the motion to accept change order proposal to expand construction to convert District Clerk's area to a temporary 30th District courtroom to house the displaced 30th District courtroom due to the water event on March 28th. With a project budget number up to $300,000 to be paid from Department 409 with reimbursement from insurance. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Pretty good.
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Zoom? All right, the motion has been made by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. All in favor, please signify by saying no.
Judge, I got a question. Do we, on any of this, like on our furniture, I got thinking about, do we break any, I mean, are we jumping a limit that we haven't bid?
That's kind of what I was thinking a while ago, but if you followed under a change order, that's the one reason I think they want to do it under a change order, so they don't have to slow this down by putting
Is
it all
that
up to
right?
bid.
I mean, is that how that works?
Well, this
So-
is an emergency purchase too, so we're under emergency purchasing rules, I would
Well,
assume.
it's a construction
Well, she's
project.
buy board anyway.
So,
COI is buy board.
yeah.
We'd be buying anything off of
So you don't.
a government contract, so. But
So I think that's your question. Fine.
I think, yeah.
Our budget's not for $9,000 though, I'm pretty
So, motion by Commissioner Fincan, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Glenda, thank you for
Yeah.
your staff.
Thanks a bunch.
And Pat, same way. Y'all have all stepped up amazingly to move things forward quickly, very quickly.
Can I ask you one more question? No,
I'll answer questions all day long if I can have the caveat that says I don't know.
we'll think of something hard here in a minute.
Okay.
All right, yeah, thank you all. All right, moving on to general business item number 1. Review and approve the regular bills for payment. Order county treasurer to disperse payroll and bill payments within 72 hours via U.S. mail, FedEx, UPS, or electronically unless directed otherwise, or may be picked up and ledgered in the treasurer's office.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Beecham, seconded by Commissioner Muller. Any public comment? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. All right, general business number 2, receive the treasurer's report for March 2023.
You guys have copies of this already?
It is in your packet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I emailed it to Nancy Wednesday, I think.
General.
See, y'all make fun of me for having paper. I got it right here.
Yeah,
You know, you can,
kill a lot of trees.
You can put those right into your Remarkable and look at them on there too.
Right, I could, but.
Okay, so I made some extra notes on this because I don't want to ramble on like a Flibbertigibbet like last time.
Mary Poppins reference?
That's.
No, that's a Sound of
word
Music
in the-
reference.
It was Sarah.
Oh, Sarah, was that one?
I got a list. Okay. Basically, what we've been trying to do, we've been trying to keep as much money in tax pool as possible because it's just
Making better money.
Yeah, it's a lot more interest. But we went from March, it went from 4.74 to 5% up to 4.9989. It's a little bit higher than that now in tax pool. American National Bank, even with our MMGs, it goes between 0.1% and 1.25. I put a mistake on there. I corrected on mine. It should be 1.25. Is the highest we get from any of our money market gold accounts. So it's hardly Machiavellian. It's just moving stuff to where we get a higher interest rate. Let's see what else. American National Bank. Okay. So by moving that money, you can see our balances on the one from American National Bank. Our balances decreased by a total of $10 million in the major accounts. Most of that went into tax pool. $7 million increase in tax pool. The other ones we paid some of our bills, and went into other debt service and that kind of thing. So. American National decreased by almost $4,000 in interest. By moving it, our interest from February to March went down almost $4,000, but our interest in tax pool increased by almost $58,000. So by moving it over there, we made an increase of $54,000 from the previous month. So. Total interest earned in March was $272,000. Total interest in February was $218,000. So we've actually been bringing in some money. So that's some actual good news. You know, our economy may be in the toilet, but we're making a little bit of money on interest right now. So.
And Steve, is there a place to see that money in tax pool listed separately here? No.
It's on my report.
I've got this.
What is the total amount of money sitting in tax pool today?
Total amount at 3/31 was $65,616,529.2.
In tax pool?
In tax pool, yes, in all of our tax pool accounts. That's on the page 3, I think.
And how much of that is encumbered money versus unencumbered money?
I'm pretty sure we can pull all that out if we need to, couldn't we?
No, that's not what he's saying. He's
Okay.
saying how much has it been budgeted, how much are we going to spend out of that?
Oh, okay.
He wouldn't have that information.
Oh, okay.
It would
Yeah.
come from our
Oh, okay,
He's a cash basis on the.
okay, no,
I
no
don't control
sweat.
That's difference in interest is,
We probably need
It's
to
pretty-
get with American National Bank and see if they can't raise that. They can do that. They're
Yeah, we can get
cheap.
some of those rates up at American National. I'm gonna work on that.
They're being cheap.
but
Yeah.
over the course of a year, that's $650,000.
It's a lot, yeah.
Income increase.
That's why we put
And
so
that's-
much to tax pool and we leave almost nothing in our operating until we absolutely need.
Yeah, I was a little bit flabbergasted at that number. That's a big number.
Yeah, they should be able to do more.
Yeah, and the American
We
National
need to
interest
approach
rates are
them.
just really, really sad. And for a long time, they had to be, because everything was, which is why Bob kept all the money over there, because there was no real difference until, what, 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
y'all opened all these accounts right before I came on board, and this money is just by moving everything in there that we can. And I've got a list of how much we have outstanding in checks from when Margaret sends a list out. So we keep as much as we need to in the American National Bank, and keep as much as we possibly can in tax pool to get the higher rates.
And what is left outside of tax pool then, the old list that we saw?
That's investments.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
got quite a bit still in that.
Yeah.
That we are, you'll get
There's-
that report next Monday.
There's
but
about
it's
27 million in those.
27, yeah.
And of those, like, First National, don't we
Yes.
have some CDs with First National?
We do.
We
We've
do
got about 6 million.
6 million.
So if that CD, let me ask you this, if that CD is $1 million CD setting at First National, do they pledge or is it only insured 250?
No, because what they do, because they have a lot of different pools that make up that, so basically they break out that $1 million into 250 and have it in different areas, so we're insured for the full amount.
Yeah, we have to be fully collateralized.
We-
Yes.
Well, that is only guaranteed for your depository bank,
Not for the others.
not for the others, so that's why in First National, we can do that with, because they do break it out, and we don't just have $1 million just with First National, it's actually in like actually it was like 10 items that we had our $6 million in,
Okay.
so.
Well, so I'm getting deep and you may have to think about this, but if me and you wanted to go buy something and we put up $1 million in a CD, you and I should be able to go to that institution and borrow at 2% roughly today in our area. Could we do that as opposed to what we're fixing to talk about in the next couple? We are going to talk about some equipment that may need to be least purchased, but what First National is quoting us right now is 5.17%. Where when I reached out to First Bank, they said, oh no, that if y'all did that with us, we would do it at this. So I just wondered if that's an option that we have never really called on anybody to.
You wanna lock in one of our CDs, just lock it in so we can borrow money
That's
against
the
it?
way I'm
Borrow
thinking
our
about
own
it. It's a
money?
lot smarter money than paying an additional 3%.
I don't know, I don't know the answer to that, we have to
Okay.
find out.
And we're talking with Karen later today.
That's the
National.
point.
Because those ones we have at First National were actually,
We sold the cheaply earned interest, because right now they've got them at like 4.5 up to 5.25%
Right,
so
right.
we're laddering that out right
Well, that was
What
my
you really
question.
do have just, you're working on the margin, the difference
Right.
between what the CD is
Yeah,
providing
like-
and what the
like-
going rate is.
When I talked to First Bank last week, they were telling me that, their CD rate right now is probably 5.25, and then we would be able to borrow it back. And then I throw it into the mix about tax deferred on some of that. How does that calculate, and is there some more? And so he hadn't gotten back with me, but I just knew that was an option as well. Because I didn't like the interest rate that I was fixing to have to do on this lease equipment. That's
that
why.
doesn't make much sense. That's a lot.
I know it changes month to month. Because we see
Should just
a
do
massive, well, we see a massive influx of funds the first 2 months of the year, right? And then the rest of the year, it's,
Yeah, we usually see it anywhere from October to February is when we start to really see taxpayer dollars come in.
okay.
But
So is the,
yeah, we're pretty much done with our major amount of revenue coming in.
and so then this, again, I think for March, a net reduction of around $4 million. That's pretty typical for the remainder of the
Well,
year.
Yeah.
Okay. So from a cash flow perspective, in good shape. I feel like.
Yeah, we've paid off all of our major debt. We've already made our debt payments. for the
And,
year, so-
and I'm glad you said that, Cheryl, made me think, right now, we're setting on the second page there, 3.8 in debt service dollars, outside of what's sitting in the checking account, I guess, but
Yeah, we'll have another one.
what is that payment to leave this year that's gonna go for the remainder of the year?
That's in tax pool, we've got 3.8.
Oh, yeah, well, we'll have another payment. We do it in July, I guess, is our other major payment will come out, that debt service. The LEC bond.
How much is that, do you know? I can't see it in my mind.
I don't know what it is offhand. It's most of that 3 million. Cause our LEC bond is up to 5% interest.
Well, I just really like the way you got this laid out, and I think it's styled really cool to see, and it's certainly a big help.
And you have to, by statute, do the treasurer's report and then a separate investment report. don't you?
Yeah, the separate investment report is by both of us, and that's
Okay.
quarterly.
Okay. And that's what we'll be hearing next week.
Yeah, I'll do that next week.
Yeah, I'll be at training, and she's gonna give it, which is good, because she's smarter than me.
Murph Davis will be here.
Oh, okay, good.
Yep.
All right, do we have any other questions? Any public comment on this item? Okay, Steve, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, general business item number 3, discussions on precincts 2 and 5 equipment needs to include, but not limited to, tree trimming and mulching equipment. Mr. Watts?
Are they, part of their in your packet, do you have these quotes?
Which quotes?
They're gonna be precinct 2, precinct 5, and precinct 5.
Yes, they are part of general business item number 4 in your packet. The quotes are there.
So, I wanted to clarify on, I know Mickey's really had asked me about, but the door we had taken care of, the Loftus oil cooler, which Mickey, he told me that that was not, that is something they will install and have the capability of installing, so it'll, when it delivers here, they will actually do that, implementation.
Who's installing?
John Deere.
Okay, yeah.
And so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing anything on that quote because,
Yellow House is gonna install it.
yes.
Okay.
Or
When you say John Deere.
Western Equipment.
Or Western,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right.
So, but that's what it came to, Mickey, with the cooler, the door we already had told him to.
So this is a continuation of what you brought up on Friday 2 weeks ago,
Yes,
of emptying out precinct 5 to pay for most of it and then the rest.
correct. And if you'll look at the next two for 5 and so he has put together, which the quote for the arm on the tractor, the buzz saw head, and the rotary cutter for those deep ditch, whatever projects, as well as a quick hitch connector, making the application a little bit easier. This is all with the counterweight. all put on the tractor. It's put on at Alamo. And as you can see, then if you'll flip through there, there's also the, that's a 22-foot boom. And it carries that breakdown on into that. And then if you'll flip to the back of that boom quote, we have the tractor, basically $140,000 tractor we can buy on buy board for $109 under this program, but $109 would be added to the $117 boom quote. So the total to rig up a tractor to cut is $117,000 plus $109,000 and votes and change. Correct.
Something like that.
And we're looking at something that will deliver before the end of the year, but every bit to the end of the year.
And what do we have precinct 5, isn't it like 56,000 or something?
No, we've got it right now. After we haven't paid for the distributor, but like on his report, we're setting on 515, but we're fixing to buy.
Well, we can't use that 515 because we didn't budget for it. We can only use what we budgeted for the year. So while we have cash in there, we can't use it. We can only use what we budgeted.
Okay, so
That's
but
our problem.
but we can pay for it in 24, right?
If you have it in hand on 23, we have to pay for it in 23 with 23 budget. So if you take delivery in 23, it has to be the 23 budget.
But it wouldn't be a problem to take delivery in 24
Take
because
delivery
it,
in 24, you can use the 24 budget.
Okay.
Yes.
okay.
You just schedule
Because
it
we
for
only
delivery
budgeted-
on January 1.
Do what?
You just schedule it for delivery after January 1.
Yeah, I mean,
and-
it's that could happen anyway. I mean,
and
We're talking about the distributor or this?
no, the distributor will come, but we've got a budget for precinct 5 and 23 is what Cheryl's saying. We didn't re-budget for extra expense.
Right, because when we did the budget last summer, we didn't foresee this expenses.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it deliver after January 1, put it on precinct 1 and it'll happen.
And, you know, we placed orders last fall for John Deere tractors and they look like they may deliver in May. So that's at least been taking 8 to 9 months to get them built and here. So it's not a problem. I just tell him I can't take delivery till the 24th or 24.
Yeah.
And then on the precinct 5, I just wanted to make sure we go ahead and put the Loftus cooler on there, but that gyro track, which is the mulcher, is $33,714, and again, the only offset we had to that was the $20,000 coming from the grant we received thanks to the judge. So
I'm a little confused.
Kind of mixed all these agenda items up into one.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to go back to, 3 was just discussion, so I think we're fine there, but we're gonna have to go back and vote on 4.
So do we have any questions on item number 3, which is discussions on these equipment needs?
I looked at, before I wanted to pull the trigger here, I just wanted to make sure we didn't want to do another 15-yard or something like that, but everybody's pretty much chimed in on the fact that they think that we could run this buzzsaw till the cows come home. And I know that I called the other day for tree help and they told me 2 months out before they could give me a permanent date. Well, that just don't work. And our mowing's hindered. There's a lot of ditch we don't mow because we can't get a cab and tractor underneath it. So I think there is a need, and I had never saw this application until I watched the state contractors do it. And I was convinced it was pretty rugged and durable, and it was the smarter program than a crew of men with a bucket and everything.
I do have a question.
Okay.
On the arm and everything, this same arm can switch, one of these rotary cutters can be used to mow grass too.
The rotary cutter is the shredder.
Okay, and the reason I say that, because
Buzzsaw.
there's several ditches that we have that we can't get in to mow, period.
No.
Yeah.
So we can now mow some of these with this attachment.
That's
I mean, we've never mowed them because they're you just can't get equipment in
No,
there.
we don't own that kind of.
And we've never, and I'm the one that started looking at this stuff a couple of years ago and brought it to y'all's attention that I thought we needed one.
Yeah.
Even Cotton County uses them and we didn't have
Yeah.
one on the, anyway. Okay. So it's 3, no discussion.
Yep.
No more discussion.
We have any public comment on this item? All right, moving along to item number 4, general business. Consider and take action on John Deere quote number 28206-124 of $12,919.77 for a Loftus oil cooler with heavy-duty door for precinct 2 to be paid from Fund 222 with lines determined by the county auditor.
And the reason for that is I don't know, do you have a skid steer?
No, it's.
I think I'm the only
You
one
have the other one.
that has a skid steer, but the reason to go ahead and put that on there is so that cooler will be there in case we have to use it in place of precinct 5. We'll have the equipment to do it.
I do have a question. We've got 2 different amounts in the quote here. We've got the John Deere quote summary page, which has the $12,919.77, and then we have the selling equipment quote ID page, which gives us customer discounts.
And it's 10 and 2, so 20, same thing.
Okay, it's the same thing. It just doesn't have the discounts. Right
But
here.
But this over here this needs to be changed to include, it does have the door.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a cooler and the door.
Yeah, sorry, it's correct. I just wasn't getting it right.
And that's, so 4 is dealing strictly with precinct 2 and Mickey's needs
And
for
motion
his
just
district,
for,
which are also on track for May. But Cheryl, on your deal, I wasn't even thinking, to get the tractor here, it's gonna take till the end of the year. I still gotta send it off to get that. They have to send it off, not us, but
Yeah, we can't take any possession of it before
Yeah.
2024 in any way, or it's ours. We gotta do it.
they have to send it on to another factory to have additional work done, so there's no way I can take possession of it this
And they're gonna go ahead and float us on all of this cost, because I can't pay for any of it until we take delivery, so.
Yeah, well, we haven't paid for distributor either, right?
Not to my knowledge, no.
and we haven't paid
It's
for
just
the
now
skid
we're
steers
starting
either.
to-
Yeah.
I mean, they're forking out a lot of money towards letting us just order some
Yeah.
$1
Well,
orders.
it's normally something that we would go and pick out and pay for, but that's changed 2 or 3 years ago. Now, that doesn't happen no more.
Yeah, why would
so-
this be any different than when I order a Mack truck from Bruckner and they have to go take it, put on a bed? We don't take delivery of the whole thing until it's complete. So
Correct.
it's the same,
Same
yeah, it's the
concept.
same thing.
I'm just making y'all aware, cause it's April, and I'm surprised it's already before the end of the year, we don't have any money to pay for it.
Right.
Like, normally we have already money budgeted for it, but
Yeah.
this is an unbudgeted item
Yeah.
we're ordering in advance.
And I guess for the good of all here, let's make sure we note this for the budget.
Budget, yeah.
Yeah, and that's going to happen now going forward in the sheriff's department, all the road and bridge stuff, everything that we touch. It's nearly impossible to budget and take possession of it.
Same year.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy until the world changes.
So never.
It's probably not changing back. It's only getting worse if you haven't noticed.
The forecast isn't too good.
All right, so we've got a motion by Commissioner Fincannon,
I'll second.
and let's see. All right, so the motion is to approve the quote?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion is to approve the John Deere quote 28206-124 of $12,919.77. Do we have any public comment on this item? Okay, motion's been made by Commissioner Fincannon, seconded by Commissioner Beecham. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The motion carries 5-0. Takes us to general business item number 5. Consider and take action on the following John Deere quotes for the listed equipment for Precinct 5 to be paid from remaining funds in Fund 225. The remaining amount will be split evenly and paid by Precincts 1, 2, 3, and 4, with lines determined by the county auditor.
And actually, that, the balance would come out of the remaining balance of the Precinct 5 account, I guess. And then if there is shortage, we would split it evenly amongst those for the year 2024. And this tractor, let me just comment, this is a 6110. Those that I bought were 6120s. I asked him about, and Mickey's, I think you got 6120s. But he said these filters, everything's the same. Alamo recommended the 6110 for their application. That's why we went ahead and I brought that up. We rediscussed it again. He called back Alamo because I just thought I wanted them to be the same, but they 6110 was what we settled on. So it doesn't give up much. It's relatively the same, but.
Okay. On the wording for this, we can just say, to be paid from 2024 budgeted funds, and then we can cover that. We don't even need the rest of this.
Okay.
Because we aren't gonna take delivery in 2023. Quote, the bottom one on the, with the oil cooler and stuff, isn't that,
That's
where's
already-
the other 33,000, that's not in number
Well,
4?
we got, that's a $46,000 expenditure. I would want to go ahead and pay Cheryl that less 20,000 out of Precinct 5 right now. I think there's budgeted.
Well, cause this is the same quote number as on number 4,
Mhm.
so that's why
Yes,
I'm
it is
confused.
exactly the same. We're doing the same thing to 2 machines.
Okay, so shouldn't that be 2 quotes though?
Well, this is a quote for Precinct 5 machine. The item 4 was the dollar spent on the Precinct 2 machine.
Yeah,
But the quote is.
we should have had
quote
2
is-
quote
there's
ID
one
numbers.
quote done, and it's for Precinct 2. I think it's her problem, is the point is that.
Well, I've got a separate quote. The only thing Precinct 2 is missing is the Gyro Track 400 HL.
So what's the quote number for the Precinct 5 equipment?
Give it to you.
Cause it,
I had him go back and break that down for me. He had put them all together and then, the quote,
okay, hang on.
quote ID is 28206-124.
He reused the
Yeah, he
same
gave the
quote
same
ID
quote
number.
ID.
So when we're gonna switch and do 2 different precincts, we really needed to have that a separate quote number so it's identifying, cause it looks like one is superseding the other. When we're not, we're doing 2 different.
Look here. Yeah, it's the same quote ID on both. He gave me 2 separate pieces, but they're carrying the same.
Which is making that difficult.
Okay. Well, then, let's just make it 2. I'll give you a new, quote number.
So you wanna pull that second one off, the 46,000 until next week? Is that what you're wanting to do?
We can, it doesn't matter, but I mean, can we just not provide to be determined?
Take the quote number off the agenda?
Yeah.
Well, but then this table
We're gonna have.
cost is wrong, because the cost doesn't include the customer discount.
Yeah, let's pull that well,
Let's
that,
see, where did that?
It came from the quote, but if you add those numbers up, it's 47 and something, because it doesn't include the.
yeah,
see
cause
the
instead of
door.
that being 11.5, it should be 10,289.77.
Yeah.
10. Oh, yeah, that's a typo. It's 10,289.
I think that from the standpoint of it being clean, let's just take off that bottom quote for those 3 items from what we're approving today. You can get a new quote ID from it,
Okay.
and then we'll come back next week
Okay.
and
Yes.
do that,
Perfect.
unless there's objection to that.
So the total will be the 109,402.
That'll be the 117
Plus.
419 plus
Yeah, we
109.
don't have the.
Yeah, the money spent on the third quote for precinct 5 is exactly, the same as Mickey's, except we added the grinder.
And Shirley, you wanted it to say,
Just a separate quote number.
Oh, the wording,
for number
The
5.
quote is
Yeah.
to
correct.
be paid from,
Budgeted precinct 5.
Budgeted funds in 2024.
yeah,
Yeah. And
for
the
Fund
quote,
225.
the quote from, Western Equipment is correct. We
Uh-huh.
just, the agenda is misstated.
And we'll need a new ID
But we're taking
number.
that one off anyway.
Yeah.
okay.
And I'll get a new quote and give it to Nancy.
So moved on 5.
Okay.
And a second. Anybody?
Second.
All right, the motion by Commissioner Buchanan is to approve following John Deere quotes for the listed equipment for precinct 5 to be paid from budgeted funds in 2024 in Fund 225. The remaining amount be split evenly and paid by precincts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Line is determined by the county auditor. And just for clarification, the following John Deere quotes is for quote number 283086654 and 283450012. We're moving the bottom one. Okay, and that motion made by Commissioner Buchanan, seconded by Commissioner Watts.
Joe,
We-
I'm sorry, Cheryl, did you mean that to take out the remaining amount will be split, take that sentence out, did you say?
It's fine, cause we're gonna budget it in 2024, so
And it's,
Just leave it.
yeah.
that's fine.
It's-
Okay. All right, motion made by Commissioner Buchanan, seconded by Commissioner Watts. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I just wanted to add, if you haven't given me your bottle numbers, I need them today. You'll call me this afternoon, call me on Friday about those, so make sure you turn those accounts into me.
Okay. All right, motion by Commissioner Buchanan, seconded by Commissioner Watts. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Which brings us to general business item number 6, receive update on courthouse renovation, elevator projects, and county courthouse annex.
Start at the annex, that's the easy one. They're under full asbestos abatement now. Received some good news, we need some good news, that the asbestos abatement there at the annex is not going to be near as complex as what was originally thought. I have yet to see a deduction in the price, but there will be some. They're not gonna have to pull the hard pan off. Last I visited with them, they were going to be able to scrape it because the plaster underneath the popcorn is not hot. So, remains to be seen what we'll receive back, but there will be some cost savings off the original.
And Mark, what is the difference, like us just covering the tile up on the district clerk's old office versus taking it up? Why would a person want to take it up?
It's
You want me to-
better.
You want me to go there?
Yeah, go.
Okay, the problem is we're not talking about the floors, we're talking about the ceiling. And whereas you can cover the floor and continue to walk on it, when it's in the ceiling and when it's on a lower deck than what we need to connect things to the structure, to build walls all the way up to the structure, when it's on this level, not on the structure level, we have to go up through it
Disturb it.
a lot and disturb it a lot to get, because you can't physically hang ceilings from this lower level. You've got to send the wires all the way on up to the structural level. And so since we're raising the ceilings, doing different heights and various things, we're disturbing this level. Now, not all of this level had it. Some of it did, some of it didn't, and that's the issue. We still have to get up to the ceiling, but somebody can knock a hole through the part that doesn't have asbestos and get on up to the structure and attach things to it. your electrical lines, your mechanical lines, your ceiling, all sorts of stuff has to be connected to the structure up above. We can't just cover it up and keep going. That's what they did in the past. They covered it up and just kept going. And now that we're gonna be remodeling it,
Well,
we can't.
my question, I guess, it's into, in the 30th, would we not just be covering that floor back up again?
The floor we will be covering up, but it's not in the ceiling.
Not in the 30th itself proper, we have to abate that tile because it's got water underneath it, so that has
Okay,
to come
I'm
out.
sorry.
Okay.
Now, so there's several things happening here.
I was thinking about the
Okay, and then,
district clerk.
but I mean,
starting
we've
with-
taken tile up, we've abated tile, but you're telling me that if it's just covered up, we really don't have to ever do
Correct.
that? Okay.
We don't,
Correct.
and that's why.
I
we
thought there
have-
was a rule that you had to if you touched.
That's why there are
If-
places in
Sure.
the courthouse that have 2 and 3 layers of floor tile and then a layer of carpet over the top of it, because it's never been abated.
Right.
We try now, when we do a room, we try to abate it, but in the case of what we're doing in the district clerk's area, time is of the essence. We don't have the 2-week notification and the other 2 weeks of abatement
I see.
to wait. So we can cover it with carpet without disturbing it, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Now, the
It's
next
just
time you
not-
go to replace that carpet,
It will
chances
probably
are
be-
you're gonna need to go ahead and abate it at that
because it'll
point.
pull up.
Because when you pull the carpet up, it starts pulling up the vinyl from underneath it.
Cause you glue the carpet to it,
Yeah.
and that's what's gonna,
Yeah.
it'll cost you now or cost you later, take your pick.
So, but in
Well,
that.
the dots are a little bit better. They're a better method of putting the carpet down. You don't have as much.
If they put enough dots.
If they put enough dots, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the annex. It's under full abatement right now. Exterior, they're still working on it. It's looking really good. I think they've got the north side completely open now. Yeah, I don't know if they closed that hallway down this morning or not. I haven't been over there,
Sure.
didn't
I
make
didn't
it
go
over
this
there.
morning.
They were supposed to close the stairway and the hallway and put signs on the elevator to use the front elevator only while they've got full-scale abatement going on. But just didn't make it over there this morning. Courthouse, where to begin? Kudos to everybody involved on getting the first floor ready to go. We should easily be ready to move in by the end of the week. Floor is in everywhere. I think there's some caulk back and some things that has to take place. But they got the floor in last week. Everywhere except the law library, we can't put that in until the elevator's done because there's elevator equipment stored in there still. Yeah, lot happened last week in that area to get it ready.
We're scheduled to punch that first floor area Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and so that it can officially get a substantial completion so that they can move in.
Is anything occurring on the back end of the hallway where the big plate, double glass door framework is? Are we updating that at all?
No, they're cleaning it right now. That's
Just
really all we
stay the
had
same.
planned was to clean it up and to make it look as pretty as we could.
It looks pretty good cleaned up.
Yeah, it looks a lot better already. We've, in our first floor and second floor lobbies, we've ran into a snag that the tile that was originally used in the building is no longer available in the United States. It is available in Mexico, but not in the size that we need.
I've decided that if we want the kiss of death to a ceramic tile is for us to use it in this courthouse.
Same problem running up the annex, so.
We have ran into more, every time we choose a tile, okay, this will be this will be what we use from here on. And the next time we order it, it's discontinued.
Well, it's
We
like-
didn't even just discontinue it, we ran the whole company out of business this last time.
Well, I mean, they're a huge tile cut. It's not like
Yeah.
they're a baby. And same way with Armstrong. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody realizes that Armstrong flooring is no longer.
Really?
Yeah.
They're huge.
They're huge.
They were huge.
Yeah, they're huge. So these are the things that we're running into.
Is that not a deal where you can send the tile and say, hey, build me this tile?
If you want to pay for it.
Really? It's bad?
It's bad.
Yeah, so
We're trying to find something that's the closest thing to, or if we can't find the closest thing to, which we have not found yet, we're looking at maybe doing something that's an accent that we can make a pattern with, or do something different, because to totally re-tile that entire lobby because of one little L shape is sort of sad.
yeah, and I think I talked to Pat a little bit this morning, and maybe if you have a minute after court,
Okay.
we can go look.
I think we just started making up stories about the historical significance of
But I mean, there's always, y'all come up with good stuff, so it may be better than what we were.
So we were gonna tear out a bunch of tile in the clerk's office last week, and we stopped. We said, no, don't break any tile, because we can't replace it. So we went to the back walls and to dry some areas out that weren't drying appropriate. So good thing we knew that, because we would have encountered a similar problem in there trying to build that back. The moving up to the third floor where the damage is concentrated, everything's out of there. The 30th District Court is completely gutted. They're doing asbestos abatement in there now. They're doing asbestos abatement in the court administration area. They should complete that this week. We walked it this morning with the painter. We'll be getting in there and painting it. Briggles has been on site nonstop since our accident. Briggles has been outstanding to work with. We're going to shift some floor material that we have for the law library and that area. We're going to shift it up there to go ahead and get that complete and order some new in. So we should be able to open Danielle's area back up on very short order. So
And what does
in the next
that,
2 weeks.
on the 30th mark, when 30th's all clean and ready to go back, what will we do in there?
We've already worked on some designs to try to keep everything as much intact as possible. There are, like we talked about earlier on, there's some ADA concerns, there are some space issues that we need to resolve. We have a good working concept that Judge McKnight took with him over the weekend. I haven't heard back. It solves several of the problems that he wanted solved. It doesn't solve everything, but it solves several problems. The biggest thing is it keeps most everything in its current location without changing a lot of wall structures. We will lose the lawyer's lounge. We'll have to look for a different location for that. But the trade out is to have additional attorney-client rooms and to move his jury assembly over into a portion of that area, which already has bathrooms. We'll have to turn one into an ADA compliant restroom. But what's on paper right now is a pretty good plan. I don't know, there's probably some room for a little bit of improvement, but in working really quickly, I think it's an outstanding plan so far. We need to move as quickly as we can to finalize that so we can start the build back as quickly as possible.
And you were asking earlier, he is willing to get some of these changes made that he wants to lose some of his gallery seating. And so it will not be the full amount that he has currently. And so
that's one of the things that we did discuss with the new temporary courtroom is it will have a large capacity on par with what he has right now. So if we did do a large board hour, they could use that room for assembly. We still have the multipurpose room before that we could use for a larger board hour.
And what is will the 30th get back those wooden pews, or will we move to seating?
Not determined yet. We're taking, those pews were moved out to Service Master's warehouse. We do know where there is significant damage to them, a great number of them. I don't know how many. We're taking possession of those this week, or they started moving them last week, over to our climate control facility at Vernon College area. So we'll assess that as well and see if they're worth restoring and moving forward with those. But with the reduced seating, we may not have to restore every one of them. We're way early in that game to look at seating at this point. But hopefully, most of them can be restored.
In the elevator?
They were supposed to be here last week. They never showed up. I did send an email. Did we get a response back?
Yeah, he sent that response that I forwarded to you.
Yeah.
That said maybe Tuesday of this week that they would be back again.
Should we
It's
start a pool?
Shot in the dark. Yeah, you know, it's one of those, start a pool on when they'll be here, but I don't know.
Nothing important.
Yeah. If we could get the elevator back working, that would solve a lot of problems that we have right now.
And now it's not just number one, it's one and two that they're
Yeah.
coming and going from.
Yeah, we need them both, and
And
they won't send the number 2 crew to here until the number 1 crew is complete.
Done.
And
So
Glenda, there's no remedy to that in our agreements? You tell me it's a year, and then when we start into year 2, you don't have to pay me nothing?
No, not when they wrote the contract. You know,
Yeah.
they wrote the contract and Tracy marked it up some, but a lot of her markups they would not accept. And so when the contract's signed, and I hear the same things. There's basically two elevator companies now, Otis and TK. And I hear the exact same thing about Otis, and that they're taking 10 times longer than what's necessary. They don't show up when they're supposed to. It's a hit and miss whether it's gonna work like it's supposed to. I don't know if we're just such a smaller area, in the DFW area, they've got 9 million elevators, and there's, a handful in Wichita Falls, 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, that we just don't get the.
And our problems are compounded that we can't receive emails from anybody but their sales department.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. We've worked through that. That's been through this whole process. So when I send emails out, I not blind copy, but I copy everybody. They copy it, their reply back generally to everybody. But then as soon as I get it, then I forward it on to Mark, because he can get the train from me, but he can't get the train from them replying, or even a direct email. And that's their billing department, that's everybody, but he seems to get sales.
Yeah. They won't sell me something, I sure seem to get those emails, but never from.
And we've tried, even prior to Brennan, trying to figure out why that is, and it is.
Do the sales come from an American IP address and everything else comes from Europe? Yeah, that's what I thought.
They want to make sure the sales get through.
Yeah. Well, at this point,
They're
they're sending me the wrong emails. But it's very much a source of frustration that we can't get very much cooperation from them.
Last week, it was, I believe on Monday, he said that he needed an answer back by 9:30 before court. Well, the guy replied, but I wasn't in my office, and so I didn't know to get the reply to forward it to Mark before at that point.
Seems like
So-
there's a good business opportunity to have somebody that wants to put in an elevator company
You're not doing much.
in Texas. I'm too old now.
But, no, again, there's a lot happening in the courthouse, and a lot of people have gone above and beyond over the last 2 weeks. I'm not gonna try to name any names, because I missed somebody, but man, everybody's pitched in and made the world move, to get everybody back in some semblance of function. So, thank you to everyone that's helped.
Okay, any questions? Any public comment on that item? Did I miss anything?